What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, getting ready here for our morning session. We're going to be taking a look all across the market. Look at this, silver up 4.5%. Wow, back out of nowhere. It's not just silver, all the metals. Oh, got some autoplay action going on over there. We got silver wrecking it this morning. We're going to take a look at what's going on across the markets. Dollar soft again. Indexes are up, even the Russell making a nice comeback, still looking like it's in a little bit of jeopardy. We'll take it all in together. Bitcoin down off its lows, but down substantially, getting knocked around. A 7% drawdown on Bitcoin off the all-time high. People get nervous up here. Is it the time to lean in? We're going to talk about Bitcoin. I'm going to set my mindset. I'm going to help settle yours, do my best. That's what we got going on today. Thank you for being here this morning. We got some blue bottle going on this morning with a combination of stumped in. It's a coffee morning. Greg was right. You know, I'm missing the matcha this morning. It would have been a beautiful morning to get some matcha going, get it over here. All right, look, let's see what's going on. Bitcoin, right? Story of the day, or is it? Yesterday, making new all-time highs. Beautiful to see. A lot of people looking for Bitcoin to run once it gets to all-time highs, as there's nothing in the way. Although right this morning, we saw some nervous price action. We saw Bitcoin dump a little bit. Does anyone know what's going on with Ethereum 2.0? Was that a sell the news type event? Did it launch? I have no idea what's going on. I haven't checked the news. I'm going to focus in on the charts, figure out what's going on later with that. I'm interested to know if that's a little bit factoring into the reason why we're seeing red across the altcoins and including Bitcoin. However, I assure you, not investment advice, my opinion, there are plenty of people happier this morning to be picking up Bitcoin at lower prices. Everyone is beginning to realize that Bitcoin under 20,000 is valuable. that Bitcoin under 20,000 is still cheap, right? In my opinion, Bitcoin under 30,000 is still cheap. Why do I say that? I do believe in the coming bear market, and I do believe that there will be a coming bear market, that the low of Bitcoin will not break 30,000. If you don't believe there's going to be a Bitcoin bear market, that's fine. You will see. Good luck to that. By the way, what is the possibility that Bitcoin catches on? Some people look at Bitcoin as a call option against the legacy financial system. I would have to say the highest odds I could give right now of Bitcoin becoming the future system, future monetary system, by Bitcoin not only challenging the market cap of gold, but also more of the global FX system, more of the market cap of the dollar. I would say at best is about 5% right now, which is up substantially from a few years ago when it was at about 3%, but at 5%. So at the top of this bull market, if you believe that's the possibility or case, hold on to 5% of your Bitcoin or whatever you value that call option at. For myself, it's about 5%. Nevertheless, Bitcoin this morning, right now trading at 18,700. You got to like it if you like it yesterday, right? And a lot more. However, could we still see 30% pullbacks? Listen, it has not changed. My game plan has not changed. I believe we're going to see 30% pullbacks. I'm looking for them. Right now, a 30% pullback would take you back into this area here of 13,950. Technically, if that were to happen, it would be extremely healthy for the market. Right now, we've come up high, hard, and fast, right? Right on time, though. And a lot of people are realizing, well, actually, Bitcoin is right on time. It's doing what it should be doing at exactly this point in the cycle. And that's why people are realizing that Bitcoin right now, in my opinion, is cheap. Now, I do remember talking with my father-in-law about a year ago. Bitcoin was trading at about $9,000. And I told him, I was like, Bitcoin is cheap. He couldn't comprehend that. And I'm sure there are a lot of people right now that can't comprehend that Bitcoin right now is cheap. But, be aware of your levels, right? Let's look at the price action before we start getting into anything else. People might be pining to get into the metals, but don't chase moves. Metals are up healthy this morning. We'll take a look around, figure out what's going on price, but we're not chasing after momentum like that. Now, we'll see if it's setting up anything in the future. 14,000 would be really, really nice. I don't know that it's going to happen. Why I'm saying I still believe there could be 30% pullbacks at this point in time, I have to seriously consider the facts. The facts are, since the halving, we had two 20% pullbacks and now 116.5. That's unusual. What does that say? It says to everyone out there, still be ready for a 30% pullback or more. At the same time, if you're looking to increase your position on Bitcoin, you better be looking maybe for 15% pullbacks and start positioning in. And also, what does this say to us? You should be fully positioned into Bitcoin now. You should be fully positioned into Bitcoin right now. Why it's under $20,000. Why all of you have just seen that the feeling, if you're not fully positioned into Bitcoin on the way up, is probably something that's horrific, right? You don't want to not be fully positioned into Bitcoin at this point in the cycle. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again right now. The first quarter of 2021, things are going to really start breaking, right? The correlation Bitcoin has with everything else. Everyone already now has seen it happen in this current quarter, and it's as clear as day, except as where Bitcoin is in the cycle, it hasn't really even started yet. And wait till after the first quarter, right? It's going to be in the second and the third quarter that things go bananas. All right. Everyone should have a really good read on Bitcoin. Let's take a look right now at the equity markets. Rob saying that a 30% pullback right now would take us back to the 21-week EMA. We had a 60% pullback last cycle, Samuel. That was last cycle. That was not since the halving. Since the halving, we've had two 20% pullbacks and one 16.5. Right? All right. Boom, boom, boom. Ratio of gold to Bitcoin over 25 period should make it great. Look at this. I was looking at that this morning. You can see over here, this is gold to Bitcoin, right? And this is a dead cat bounce you're seeing over here. Let's look at the 3-day, right? And you look at this. This is like on the verge of the abyss, ready to collapse. And it's going to collapse. We talk about it first quarter 2021. Watch out, right? Look at this chart. This is just gold eating everything, including gold. This is Bitcoin eating everything. We posted on Twitter yesterday. We're talking about Bitcoin is Pac-Man, just eating the world right now. Every single, because we saw yesterday the dollar down, gold and silver down, and Bitcoin crushing it. That's the trend over there. So what's going on here with gold and silver this morning before we get into the indexes? I have no idea. I'm seeing a spike in price. Technically, it's a little weird. When I say it's a little weird, technically, right? It didn't really touch any particular level. Bouncing like bananas though, right? Let me take a look at silver also. So let's just focus in on silver before we look at gold, right? And we're looking at the daily chart. 1 second. Doug, wait, well, hold on 1 second. Doug thinks I'm short-sighted. Guys, be careful with your comments because other people who are paying attention have been paying attention for whether it's days, weeks, or months. When you say something like that, it seems rather kind of ignorant and silly. It does. You know, if you're new here, welcome. Sit back, fall into step, see what's going on over here because there's a lot of goodness being shared over here. But if you're calling my analysis on Bitcoin short-sighted, what do you want me to say to that? So, last cycle. So there's a difference, Doug. Let me make sure everyone's clear because this is the most important trade going on right now. It's Bitcoin. And when you say that, that last cycle had a 60% drop, that was during the bear market phase. This was during a liquidity crisis, first of all, and also during the bear market phase. Now, it's true, the low is printed 15 months to the next halving. That's when it's time to accumulate, but it's still the bear market phase, and it wasn't until right over here in this moment when we broke out of that trend line that I said that the bull market had started, right? You connect the all-time high to this June 2019 high. It was the break right over here in July that started the bull market. So this is a bear market. We don't talk about drawdowns, comparing drawdowns during the bear market, which over here is 85%, by the way, from the all-time high to over here. And then we don't compare that to this point in the cycle when we're talking about drawdowns because they're different. This is a bear market phase. This is a bull market phase. Now, you could go back to the bull market phase where you were in the last cycle and compare drawdowns to where we are right now. That's comparing apples to apples instead of apples to oranges. Comparing a bull market phase to a bear market phase, well, those two don't align. That doesn't really serve our purpose. So we're comparing bull market phases had several 30% pullbacks and 140% pullback. That's what we're comparing to right now. Since the halving right over here, we've had 120% pullback, another 20% pullback, and now a 16.5% pullback. I have to reevaluate my analysis here, right? Models are models. They work until they're broken. I'm going off the last cycle, continue to go off the last cycle, but I'm seeing the drawdowns now are showing a decrease in length. I have to pay attention to it. While I still believe there will be a 30% and 30% drawdowns on the way up. Right now, the market is showing me different. I'm paying attention. Got it? Good. All right. Yeah, Jerry, you don't think so? All right, Jerry, you don't think I'd call someone short-sighted to their face? So first of all, Jerry, how you doing? You don't know me. Jordan, pleased to meet you. So you're all right, born in the Bronx, New Yorker at heart, settled in San Francisco, live in Mexico. What's up? Yeah, I will call anyone short-sighted to their face all day long. How do you like me now? Craziness we got going on over here. Why not? Why would I not call someone out on what they're calling me out on? Of course I will, all day long. Thanks for sharing, Jerry. Really glad that you're here. We got Let's see what else we got going on over here. Oh boy. Yeah, that's it, Christian. I'm gonna take the comments off. Jerry could get his thumbs down in here, and then we'll keep going. Right? You gotta take the time to take the time. So I don't know what to make of silver over here, except for the fact that if you look at this and we look at the one trend line we were watching, and we were saying that silver has maintained. I'll ignore them. Don't you worry about it. But, you're going to get put in your place. That's all I can say. You will get put in your place. I'll troll a troll all day long. Silver breaking out and holding above this trend line. You can see that we wicked down below into the support over here at 22.2. It is held and we're now back above. What do you make of that? Right? What do you make of that? Well, a couple of different things. The first thing that you have to say is that you can't say that technically this is bearish whatsoever, right? Is it neutral or is it bullish? Look, it's what we're seeing today is obviously silver's up 4 or 5%, very bullish over there. The fact that the support is held over here, the trend line, that's also very bullish, and it's also bullish that 22.20 held. Does silver sound attractive in the low 20s? Yes, it does. Does this seem like something that maybe now we want to start getting involved with? Let's see what happens over the next 24 hours with the price action. All right, we'll reevaluate. I have to say right now, it piques our interest, but we'll have to come back to it and see what happens after the next 24 hours. Gold, less so, right? Just going to keep monitoring it, but we're not going to get involved there yet. These other metals, by the way, we want to take a look at, whether it's palladium, platinum, nickel, copper, all looking very, very healthy. Here's Kip's nickel. You can see right now, beautiful, holding the local support. Palladium, right? Palladium I looked at this morning and I couldn't really get any type of edge on it whatsoever, right? And when that happens, it's just moving forward to the next. Here you have platinum. Look at this. Again, this is a rising channel over here. It's could you call this a bear flag, right? So for me, this is a bullish structure over here, right? You can see the slant of this downward sloping channel in an uptrend. It broke to the upside, and then you were putting in what could be called a bear flag, except this is not a bearish formation, right, at all. So I wouldn't be looking for any type of resolution out of a bear flag there. And it's breaking here to the upside. What do you make of all that? I don't really know what to say. It looks healthy, but not something that is presenting any opportunity, that something that I would be interested in. And copper over here is just shooting the sky over here. Let's look on the 3-day. It's breaking some really important resistance here to the upside. Copper very much now in play. This is any pullbacks into the next area of support. Watch it. Copper is the canary in the coal mine, and we're going hugely bid over here. Does that mean that we are looking at some more? Oh, China. That's coming from China. How much was it? A $30 billion injection yesterday? I wanted to share that with you. I'll look forward, maybe in the afternoon, we'll look at that together. So what else? Let's get to the indexes. $20 million Tether printed. Listen, Tether, that money's got to flow into Bitcoin. What else? S&P 500. Let's take a look. All right. So catching up on a couple of comments over there. So you want to see what was going on over there. Is this person the legendary live trader? No, I'm just Jordan. How's it going? Glad that you're here. Let's go over here and keep going over the markets. Before we get into FX, let's check out what's going on in the indexes. A lot of people, they trade individual stocks. Follow the flow of the index. By the way, before we do, can we peek at Apple? Because we were watching Apple off the bottom of that support over here. It's now towards the top of this triangle, right? Interesting. Interesting. All right, come back up. Let's take a look. I want to start with the Russell actually this morning. The Russell is trying to get back into this little bit of a rising narrow wedge. It still looks like it's in jeopardy. Do you see that? It looks like right now that it's testing this broken support here. And if this holds as resistance and starts rolling over, we should see some further downside pressure on the Russell. The Russell does not look like what you should be looking to play here to the upside, right? Out of the four, we're looking at the Russell first. It looks like the potential showing the weakest formation over here. What about the Dow? Looks super healthy over here, right? Holding the support. Coming up here, it's just off the all-time highs. Looking very, very nice. A breakdown of this trend line over here, that would signal some pressure on the indexes. But right now, with the exception of the Russell showing a little bit of weakness, all the indexes look extremely healthy. S&P 500 looks like it's getting ready to test and make a new all-time high coming out of that beautiful, beautiful bull flag over here. And the Nasdaq also looking excellent here. Also, trying to take a look first at the November high, right? Looks like it might do that today. This is the same formation we're seeing over here. Do you see the slope of this? This is the same formation we're seeing on palladium or platinum. Hold on one second. On palladium. On platinum. Do you see it over here? You see this is what would be in a downtrend over here, a bull flag breaking to the upside. Also on the Nasdaq. Very interesting just to make the observation. Right? So as far as Bitcoin, there was one prediction made, right? That prediction was made in July. Bitcoin was trading down around 9,500. And I said by December of 2020, Bitcoin will be trading at $18,000. What's Bitcoin trading at today? Oh, $18,000, right? So that's the only prediction. The next prediction for Bitcoin is that in the later half of 2021, Bitcoin will be trading at $140,000. Now, both of those are predictions or goals that I believe not only can and will be, but will be achieved, in my opinion. But those are the only predictions we have on Bitcoin. All right. So out of two so far, one for one out of two already met. There you go. Right. So right now, personally, I am fully positioned into Bitcoin, meaning if I didn't do anything and set back and Bitcoin plays out over the next bull run, I've met all of my goals and achieved all of my possible goals. If you're not fully positioned into Bitcoin right now, it simply means you don't understand the trade. There's nothing wrong with that. You have to start doing your research. You have to inform yourself. I can't imagine someone being aware of Bitcoin, understanding the trade, and not being similarly positioned. If you're not, that's fine, but do some more research. There's plenty of places, including you could start right now. BlockFi isn't letting me trade. Why? That's crazy, Skates. Are you saying you can't use your stable coin, the Gemini US dollars, to buy Bitcoin? Definitely reach out to their support right away. Something sounds like something is off there. All right. Let's check out what's going on. Does anyone have an update? What's going on Ethereum 2.0? Yeah, Gino, many different ways. But listen, that's many different ways. If you're having trouble understanding how to custody your own Bitcoin, either check out a hardware wallet or check out using BlockFi. You could use There you go, Gemma. That was very good. That was very good. And this is what's amazing is that someone who doesn't yet have an understanding of Bitcoin has amazing resources today where they could get up to speed in a few months of intensive research, which would have took someone in the past like myself years. All right. So Ethereum 2.0, right, is actual at phase 0. Cassidy, I'll have to read or check with some other YouTubers. Data Dash is someone that I like to listen to from time to time on altcoins. Crypto News, Omar, are people that I like to listen to speak about altcoins. I'm not really sure what's going on with Ethereum 2.0, but we'll look at some charts over here. I was wondering if this was a bit of sell the news. Do notice that Bitcoin was down 7% this morning and is now trying to claw back those losses. Anyone, I think, at this point, being aware you could have a substantial pullback is realizing the fact that Bitcoin is being Bitcoin. It's right on time, that Bitcoin under 20,000 is cheap. And why it may not seem it right now, it's going to see that within the next few months. We're going to start looking right now around the rest. I'm going to turn off the comments a little bit so I can focus on these charts. I want to find the flow. We're about a half hour in. We haven't really gotten it yet, so we're going to get it right now. Ethereum, beautiful chart over here. Why do I say beautiful chart? Look at the resistance over here at 621. Let's step back a second, right? Let's step back. Look at this chart. This just looks so beautiful over here. So, by the way, once we do, I've said it before, right? Remember I said when we take out 500, 621 is going to come quick. Look how quick it came. By the way, look at 817 now, right? Because as we take out 621, we've come up into it and tested it twice now. Once we clear 621, between 621 and 817, that's also going to come very quickly right here, right now. We are at a moment looking back, fast forward 3 to 6 months from now, looking back, it's going to be very clear that this was the beginning of alt season. Brandon has, by the way, Brandon, thank you for all of the insight that you add continuously to the Telegram group on the altcoins and on the cycle. Brandon has made the point that right now he's no longer trading versus the US dollar. He's not trading altcoins versus the US dollar. He's more focused on altcoins versus Bitcoin. Why? Because at this point in the cycle, it's very clear the whole game is to gain more Bitcoin. He believes that altcoins are going to appreciate versus Bitcoin. Let's look at Ethereum Bitcoin right now. This is beautiful right now, offering beautiful opportunity. Everyone knows Alan pointed this out, right? This giant descending wedge. He pointed it out to all of us, and we looked at it at the channel while it was right here. It has since broken out, came in for the retest, and is now right here. I want you to focus on where we are right here, right now. All right? It's going to look very familiar to you in 1 second. Here, let me come back down to Bitcoin, right? Do you remember when we broke out? Here, let me put on the daily time frame. Remember when we broke out over here to the bull run? And then we came up and came in for the retest, and then we're hanging out right over here. Focus on we didn't make the recent swing high yet. We were just right here. Breakout, retest, right here. Look at Ethereum, Bitcoin right now. Right? Here's the same thing. Breakout, retest, right here. Right here. Ethereum is next stop. Ethereum, Bitcoin looks like it's getting ready here to take out that last swing high. And once it does, Ethereum, Bitcoin, I believe, is going to be running. I can't put a time frame on it. I don't need to put a time frame on it, but it will be within the next 2 months that I believe we start seeing Ethereum starting to really make some gains against Bitcoin. Watch out for that trade. It looks like a good one, in my opinion. It looks like a good one technically on the chart, and it looks like a good one if you know where we're at in the cycle. The Bitcoin cycle runs everything. What else? Let's focus in a little bit on, let me go back to gold and silver. I just want to make sure everyone has a really good look at what's going on over here, right? So how far off we off the all-time high, first of all? Hold on 1 second. How far are we off the all-time high? All right, so it's a 15% pullback on gold. So for perspective, during the liquidity crisis, During the liquidity, remember Bitcoin was off 60%? Gold was off 15% during the liquidity crisis over here in March, right? And it's off 15% now. That's interesting. That's really interesting, actually. 15% during the crisis, another 15% now. Do you think maybe gold was seeing some dip buyers and that's why we're seeing this little bit of run today? It's hard to say. It makes sense thinking gold's a little bit oversold, 15% off its all-time high. I can't see another reason really why people were leaning into gold over here technically, other than that. So we're just going to leave it at that for a second. And then silver looks a little bit better technically, but not yet. They're not. I'm a momentum trader, right? So I'm a momentum trader who prevents himself from FOMOing in to overbought and oversold price action, right? So I get ahead of the momentum. So right now we could see maybe a possible turn. We need to see more price action before it starts getting, something that's tradable. What about this? This has been pointed out many times before. Let's try to come back. Let me pull up a 3-day chart, right? Do you see over here the massive cup and handle? Right? Is it? Maybe. Listen, when you want to talk about altcoins, there's a beautiful video. Is it on the Bitcoin playlist? It's on the Bitcoin playlist, and it's called Ethereum and altcoins, what my price predictions are for this bull market. If you haven't seen that, it's probably one of the single shortest, clearest, most important videos in the whole crypto space. It really, what it does is it takes something so complicated and presents it in a way that's so simple and so clear and makes complete sense that anyone that sees it has the best possible plan in place for having correct expectations for the alt season bull run, as well as way to know when to exit their trade. You have to watch it, right? Yeah. Again, Jade, and the same thing. You could go back to those videos. You could go back to those videos and see. I haven't looked at where is the best place to exit either Chainlink, Ethereum. I think the main point that I'm making here for all of you is that the only trade that matters is Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin lightly leveraged. You gotta love it. Now, there are some people, like people in New York, by the way, their access to certain markets are very limited because of New York State. They're very controlling, right? It's very hard for a lot of companies, including BlockFi, to offer services in New York, right? Coinbase Pro. There's a lot of, there's only a certain, so maybe someone in New York, maybe they want to play Litecoin. Maybe they want to play, XLM or Cardano as a way of playing a leveraged Bitcoin position that they don't have access to, right? If you didn't have access to Bitcoin and you couldn't use a small amount of leverage, could I see in certain cases playing altcoins? Sure. But altcoins are just highly speculative instruments, right? It's kind of like playing the races. You have certain coins that will pop maybe 120% in a few days, but usually people are chasing after those coins. Unless you own a basket, it's a lot harder. Anyway, so watch that other video. Come to New Jersey, right? If you're stuck in New York, come to New Jersey where we have more freedom and you still get the benefit of being in the New York metro area. It's true. So anyway, what are we watching over here? Bitcoin taking back 19,000. The dips remain short so far. I don't want anyone to get comfortable, though. Do you notice how I'm not making myself comfortable? What do I mean by that? It's clear as day. No one could deny, including myself, that the pullbacks are being bought up on Bitcoin. For whatever, are the people right who said because of all these public companies and institutions coming in that the pullbacks will be less? Well, they're looking like it. You guys remember that I retweeted that tweet from VJ outlining that case. And I did that because that was the other side of my opinion. Contrary to whatever, I only want to know what the truth is. So I'm always considering all sides. And then I just want to find out and know where the truth is. But I'm trying to protect myself instead of having some comfort and saying, oh, we're not going to see less than a 15% or 20% drawdown now. I have to have the mindset that we can have 30% or more to stay protected. At the same time, the reality of the situation is the reality of the situation. I get a lot of spam for VeChain on the channel. Mr. Submariner 76. I get a lot of spam in the comments of this, and that's not cool because myself and a lot of people here put a lot of time into what we share in the comments and interact with each other. So there's no tolerance whatsoever for VeChain because spamming is just not cool. All right. Look, here's another thing too, when you talk about the Chiners and they, whether or not they started selling or not. No. Okay. No. Thank you for letting me know. I am just mentioning in the comments of YouTube, we get a lot of spam for VeChain. So I don't know what's up with that. So let's not mention VeChain in the comments. That's all. All right. I don't think I would make a 20% max drought. Yeah, so it's too soon, right? So interesting. We'll keep going with that, Gene. We'll keep seeing what is developing. And there we go, right? All good, Mr. Submarine. Big hug. All good. All good. All right. Let's keep going over here, right? My active Twitter is at JCL Capital. All right. Where else do we need to go into? The dollar this morning is interesting. We haven't talked about the dollar. We should talk about the dollar, and not only because it seems to be getting rejected off that resistance we were looking at yesterday. You can see it's getting rejected off, right? I have to say the dollar is this slow motion train wreck that's holding in over here. We didn't see any type of liquidity trap over here after making new yearly lows that the dollar, sold off. It's maintaining over here. Just keep watching that slow paint dry. There's not much to add over there today. Euro, Australian dollar. Yeah, we're getting to all FX right now. I want to see what's going on here as it is Tuesday. Tuesday notably sets up a lot. Let's all settle down. Any tacos? Carlos, what's going on over there? Why are people going crazy? You got it, Brandon. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. Oh. All right, we're all good. All right. Euro, Australian dollar. Look, you're still inside this blue box, this consolidation zone that's been going around for months. You're coming up into an area of support over here. So if you're looking at this, this is a market that I avoid for sure. If we broke down of the bottom part of the box, I would start getting involved. Would I be looking over here to sell this resistance over here? I'm trying to see what you're looking at. I don't see it, or I don't see anything. Euro, Japanese yen. Interesting here. The yen continues to weaken over here. This is now taking out an area where are you going to start thinking about a long? Let's take a look across all Japanese yen pairs, right? Before we make any type of assessment. Let's start with the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right? And this continues to hold this area of support and this trend line. Is this something that still looks like it could set off a long trade here? That's inviting. It does. This consolidation here. I know. And correct me if I'm wrong, Heath. I know that Heath, why I play the first entry. I know that I play the first entry. He'll sometimes wait till there's 3 or 4, right? And again, it's the same stop loss, whether you take that first entry or you're taking the second, third, or fourth. But nevertheless, it looks like now is getting to a point where we're ready for some type of resolution. I don't know what else to make of it, right? It looks healthy. It's consolidating right there on an important level. I'm hoping that actually this is just my hopes on the break exit situation, that it's an exit, a hard exit with no deal, that the pound is initially punished, and then there is some multi-year opportunity in there. We'll see, right? That would be too perfect. Dylan, my only thought on Tesla, right? By the way, has it hit 600 yet? It hit 600, right? That was the number one thought, that it was going to hit 600 or could hit 600. And number two, that as it's added to the S&P 500, historically, that's the interim top for the instrument. I would be very concerned personally. Now, is this time different? There is something different, not about Tesla, not about it being added to the S&P 500. There's something different about what's going on right now with the amount of liquidity being added to the markets. Whether you're looking at from the Federal Reserve, whether you're looking at from the government, or I guess Treasury included, or from the global central banks. We just saw China yesterday inject, I think it was 30 billion. I don't have the correct number over there. And what happens as this global liquidity is increased? Stocks go up. Is it possible that Tesla this time will react differently? It's possible, but that's not something that I always go with what the norm is. The norm is that, as it's added, it's profit taking time. How about that? All right, let's go. John Gray, the best method to purchase Bitcoin, the best and most profitable, is go to the Bitcoin playlist, look at the beginner strategy to trade Bitcoin. Way better than dollar cost averaging. Better than dollar cost averaging. All right, let's keep going over here. So the dollar is I want to go through all of FX. I really want to see what's going on over here. That's what we're going to focus in on. And to start that off, I'm looking at the dollar first, right? And what I'm seeing here on the dollar is that we're right here, right, testing yearly lows. We took out that last swing low over here in August. We're trading below that right now. I don't see any momentum here taking us down towards that next target area of $90.83. What I do see, though, is that where price is right now, it's kind of nice, right? We have that hugely bearish bias below this area of support and below the trend line. So right now we just have that strong dollar bearish bias. However, that could change really quick from where we are right now in time. What would change it would be, first, a break of this trend line to the upside, which could happen in one session from where we are, right? And that wouldn't say, oh, now we're going long dollars, right? You all have known multiple times every technical break to the upside, that would only set me neutral. So, right, that would only set me neutral. And we would have to get back above, right, into this area over here. What happens now if we were able to clear 92.50, right? Would that maybe start getting me bullish on the dollar? I don't know. I don't think so. Right now, the only thing is clear is that I have a strong bearish bias over here on the dollar. Finally seeing gold and silver wake up a little bit. That might have been bargain hunters. Again, we were looking at gold 15% off the highs. Bitcoin, impressive performance here this morning. Not much else to add about that. Let's look at FX. Let me look at the Japanese yen pairs first. Again, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, it's maintaining and consolidating here, right, above and on this broken resistance, right, holding as support. So this is very clear, like holding above this level over here, right, very, very bullish. Looking for it to resume off over here. I'm going to keep it green flag because it's something that I'm sincerely considering. I want to just take a quick look around the other Japanese yen pairs over here, right? Canadian dollar with that oil. Is it oil still bid? We haven't looked. Yeah, oil's unchanged on the day. Look at that beautiful formation over here on WTI. It is beautiful, right? A breakout over here out of this bull flag to the upside. That sets off the next leg and targeting something actually a lot higher, targeting Wow, all the way up at 49.50. So that's a trade to watch out for here on oil. All right. If it breaks out over here outside to the upside of this bull flag, that should send up a next leg up. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Let me come back to it right now and see what we got going on over here. You know, I have to say it looks good, but I don't see it conquering the market's entry. So let me just go ahead and keep the chart updated. Right. And Euro Japanese yen, right? Coming into an area of resistance. Pound Japanese yen. I'm going to add this one trend line in over here because it's very important, right? Holding above that. Looks very solid over here. Breaking above this resistance over here. Is that something to watch out for? There's nothing happening right now, but interesting. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, and that continues to be the one. Right? Let's hold on a second and look at this. So, not a pattern that I ever trade, but you could see this happening here on platinum, on the Nasdaq, and on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. So I'm just making observations. I don't see any tradable events happening on the against the Japanese yen. Maybe on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. But to be honest, the strength is, you're looking for strength versus weakness. New Zealand dollar is going on a couple of weeks now of showing that strength, right? Yeah, I have a close friend all in on Litecoin, but I have to be honest, he would prefer to be all in on Bitcoin. That's my preference. That's my preference personally. Let's look at some US dollar pairs. We'll start with the Australian dollar, US dollar. Looks very promising over here. By the way, let me just check out the calendar real quick. I think that all we have on the calendar is we got Powell testifying today, ISM coming up. That's one to watch out for. Let's watch that one together. And then we have non-farm payrolls on Friday. All right, Powell also testifying again tomorrow. So let's look at US dollar pairs over here. Australian dollar, US dollar looks quite healthy over here. Let's see if it's the best looking of the bunch. But right now, this is clear as day. This is a pullback, a retest of that broken resistance, holding as support. A resumption out of over here is conquering the markets all day long. Definitely watching that. Oh yeah. Speaking of people FOMOing into GBTC, I should be FOMOing back into GBTC. I took off about a quarter of my position last week looking for that pullback, and I never in my GBTC accumulated back in. So yeah, I'll raise my hand, and I had an alarm this morning after the live stream. I'll be looking back into that. I need to FOMO back into GBTC because, again, you can't error on not being long over here. I could buy GBTC now after trying to be cute, get back in right here at 19,000 or 19,000 plus, even 20,000, and at least I'm fully long because, at this point, I think for myself, not being fully positioned into Bitcoin is an error. I could ride out the 30% drawdown, but the upside is something that I can't miss out on. That's awesome. Thank you for letting me know that. Look, it's just all about it's about multiple things. Did anyone see the video yesterday that I shared on the upload? And it was filmed back in October of 2019 when I was first setting out to build this community. And I was like, look, I'm looking to build a group of like-minded people that are able to work together in a positive and supportive environment. We've done that, and I'm grateful for it. And it's actually exceeded my wildest dreams. I consider and look at you all not only as my family, my community, but as my friends. And I'm there's so many friendships, And I'm grateful for all of it. You know, the fact that we can look at the charts together and that it offers some clarity. I mean, look, it's really meaningful. And Gene, and I saw the email you sent out about some of the future things, and look, it's really meaningful. Something to really for me to take in, consider. Anyway, here we go. So Australian dollar, US dollar, flagging it. I want to look at the rest of the dollar pairs over here. Euro, US dollar, right? Interesting. Why is it interesting, Jordan? Look at this. We're back towards that resistance. All right, hold on 1 second. Please. All right, look. Over here together, right? We were targeting that resistance right there. You all remember when I drew that resistance in well before price came into it, and then we had the horizontal resistance right there. Price came into it. We were rejected right into the support, the resumption off. This right over here. Look at that. And now we're coming back up into this area. So this becomes very interesting if we break above. If we break above, that might be something looking to play. So just keep it green lit. But that's not where the Australian dollar, US dollar has a possible entry right here on a resumption up. The Euro US dollar is not set up right now, this moment. The pound, I was looking for a breakdown over here. Still am. It looks like the Russell. The pound reminds me right now of the Russell. This similar formation over here, possibly getting ready to resume off that. The pound is also the weak pair versus the US dollar. So am I in an uptrend or a downtrend, right? Could I make the case that this is some heavy resistance in a downtrend? I could make that fit my view if I wanted, but for me, I'm in an uptrend, and I'm in an uptrend in all my levels. If anyone wants to say, look, we're in a downtrend, sure, that's pretty big resistance that we're into right there also, right? So if we break down out of here and resume down, it's a possible trade. Your risk to reward is very good coming into that support. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. And this one, again, here she goes. Look at this line over here, by the way. If you extend that up, you can see that's the support that we came back into. That's neat. New Zealand dollar doing its thing. Yeah, I don't look at exotics for one good reason, and that's because I think they should be avoided. And that's why I don't look at them. It looks like a huge pullback into pretty strong support right now on the South African rand, and I don't know. I don't like trading exotics. But this is a big right here. You can see over here a big pullback into the support over there. So I try to things that I think are dangerous, I try not to get involved with. Danielle, I pointed out the perfect entry, the best entry that you could ever see on Chainlink and every other altcoin. It's on the Bitcoin playlist. Go ahead. The video is titled Ethereum Price Prediction and Altcoins for this Bitcoin cycle. Is New Zealand dollar overbought? Let's take a look at that and answer that question, right? Together. So New Zealand dollar, US dollar, come down to the 8-hour time frame, right? So, I mean, the first of all, the true trend is not really showing such the trend CCI over here. This is these green histogram bars over here. It's really not showing such an overbought level, against the dollar, against the yen either, right? Let's look at some other things. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Again, it's Kips, and I'm looking over here at the readings. They're around 100. It's once you start breaking above 200 into 300 that really you're overbought. I don't see the New Zealand dollar as being so overbought. It looks very healthy to me, in my opinion. Again, I'm looking at the 8-hour time frame. It really matters what time frame you're looking at when you're talking about are things overbought. But for the 8-hour time frame, what I'm looking at over here is the trend looks very healthy on the New Zealand dollar, right? Now, if look right over here though, like there's no entry on New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. There's like the reason why you could use the true trend is very simple. It prevents you from chasing that near-term momentum, right? Because you never enter as the entry CCI, this blue line over here, is overbought in the uptrend. Because near term, that is overbought. Like I said, it depends on what time frame you're looking at. For the next entry, you'd be waiting for a pullback, right, to test this broken resistance over here, see if that holds as support. As that happened, the entry CCI would be pulled back, right, showing now that near term, you're oversold in that uptrend, and that's your chance to get preemptive of the momentum. But on this swing trader's perspective time frame, it's not overbought. It looks like it's a healthy move that we're seeing. It looks like a healthy move that we're seeing right now. Dave's asking about the pound US dollar, a 13-year trend line. Let's take a look at the pound US dollar. Let's see what we're looking at over here. Let me come down to the 3-day chart since we're looking at such a long, let's see. We got November 2007 to July 2014. All right. Look at that. Let me make that nice and clean. All right, so we got 1, 2 touches. Perfect. Now let's see where we are in real time. Wow, Dave, look at that. So does that change anyone's opinion? Because we were looking at this over here, and we're saying, look, that's big resistance. Let me go ahead and just put the resistance in as we're talking about it. We're saying right over here, that right there is pretty big resistance. Could you make the case that's a downtrend, right? So look at this. This is awesome. Dave, thanks for that insight, that chair over there, adding that trend line in over here. Look, now let's come down to real time on the 8-hour with that in mind. And then you can see over here, you got that big trend line resistance going back to 2007, right? You got this big horizontal resistance. You got that rising wedge. It's all very bearish, right? It's all very bearish. The one thing that you have, well, you have a couple of things going on. You have the dollar, which is breaking down to yearly lows, right? So do you want to, right now, as the dollar is breaking down to yearly, are you trying to pick the bottom in the dollar, right? That's not something that I'm inclined to do. Now, the dollar in a session or two could change, right? The dollar could break back above that trend line and could get back up over here. And I have to say, while I was looking at 94 as being in the area where we were looking to say, okay, we're reversing, I also said, as time goes on, that will change. Is 92.50 the new 94? Like if we take out 92.50, are we seeing a perhaps change of trend in the dollar? And I don't have the answer to that yet, but that's something that I have an eye on for the next upcoming sessions, right? With that in mind, is it possible that if the dollar, right, all right, let's put it this way. It looks like if the dollar were to change, that the pound might be on the receiving end of a strong dollar, right? That I could say on the flip side, if the dollar continues breaking down, right? And also if the pound is able to get out of here on a favorable terms, or whatever the market thinks and decides that's favorable, because in my opinion, a hard exit would be better for the UK, but maybe the market thinks different. Maybe the market wants to see, the pound leave with the deal. I don't know. We could just follow what's going on the charts. But if and when we get a breakout over here to the upside of that trend line, right, and this horizontal resistance, that also could be a strong place to look for a buy entry on the pound US dollar for a significant trend change if you look at that slope. And just to remind you, some powerful trend lines like that, look at Bitcoin, right? And look at the bull market. This was the trend line. This is November 2017 on the pound, and this is then 2014, right? Bitcoin happens in a much quicker time frame than traditional markets. And look what happened when she broke out over there. That bull started. Could that be happening? A similar situation be occurring over here, where a breakout of that trend line is going to see a sharp appreciation of the pound. I would be ready for either which way over here. The pound looks like it's in a beautiful area where you could see a very pivotal trade take place from both sides over there. So, and that, let's look at that over here. Get on you. This is the Euro British pound. So looks interesting here, right? Why do I say that? What looks interesting, right? Well, after the breakout over here, you had breakout or retest and now resuming off, right? That's something to pay attention to for sure. For sure. Kips is in the trade, and Kips is in the trade on the right side. So he should be the one to speak about it. I wish at this point I could just pass the mic to Kips for a second so he could share his thoughts on this trade. Because, in my opinion, the person that's in the trade and the person that's profitable in the trade, well, they know the trade the best. There's no question about that. The market is you put your money on the line and you're either right or you're wrong, right? So, but I have to say, looking at this from my vantage point, someone who's been watching this trade but not in the trade, right? I was looking over here to see if this resistance held. It didn't hold, right? Instead, we broke above the resistance, have since flipped it to support, now resuming out. This is, in my opinion, something to watch out here for the long side, and that's what I'm tracking. I know, Benoit. I've paid attention to everything, right? I would love to hear Kips. Would love to hear Heath go over some FX as well. I don't know how I could do it. With Zoom, I could change the presenter, no problem whatsoever. Maybe I could do a Zoom meeting inside of this Ecamm software we have. That way, we could also be sharing the comments together. Anyway, 2021, those are things that I would like to do and add. Get Brandon up here talking about some of these alt season moves as well, because Brandon's got a lot of great insight. What else do we want to look at today? Let's kind of go to a free flow right now. And where should my attention be? Is anyone stalking anything they see right now that should bring to our attention? Well, Kim, so let me know if you'd be interested from time to time getting a little bit of mic time, and then if you are, I'll work more towards making that happen. Poton. Well, I think Zed, I put out a tweet yesterday. I think actually 40,000 is the new marker over here. I think 40,000 is what we're looking at next. And I think that happens in the I won't put it anyway. I put out a tweet what I think about that, but yeah, I'm kind of impressive price action on Bitcoin this morning, right? Trading down to 18,000 and now back looking to make new all-time highs again, right? I think 40K is the new number to track over here. Look, why I say that, by the way, if you just pull up off this last pullback over here, I don't even know, I'm doing the math in my head, so I don't know if it's correct, but I have 16,000, right? 16,300. So 16,300, and let's add 150% to that, and that takes us to 40,000, 40,750. 40,000, I think, is what we're targeting next, folks. So let's just ride it as appropriate. And why I say that targeting next, I do think that if we went to 40,000 from here without having a 30% pullback, that is a place that people should be looking to, perhaps, if they're looking for number 3 and taking profits along the way. I think that is the next place to look for, perhaps taking a little bit of profit, but I would not look to take some off before then, personally. So let's see. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, definitely. Oh, wow. Rich, you're riding this down? Rich, I think so. I think, Edwin, I think so. I do think that. I think that's a reasonable expectation. Now, if it happens in second quarter, 2021, I think it's like the possibility exists. It could happen in the first quarter, but yeah, by the second quarter, and that's not really too far off, is it? So I think that's just like that little switch in the head is where everyone's focus should now be on 40,000. It was the all-time high, rightfully so, right? We'll come right back to Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. But as we were over here, since breaking the bull market, since starting this is the bull market run. Right here, as we broke it, that's when I said we've now entered the bull market, right? And since then, we're up 100% in a few months, right? But we were all targeting the all-time high. From now, I think we're targeting 40,000. That's where we're at. And that's a pretty good place to be, Once we get to 40,000, we're going to reevaluate. JC Travels, before I get into the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, I'm looking to take a 50% loan, right, against BlockFi to increase my position. I'm scared of a pullback liquidating my position. If you had to make this decision, will you pull the trigger? So, JC, listen, I'm not, if you're taking out a loan, on BlockFi, for 50%. So, for example, if you had one Bitcoin and it's worth $20,000, you could take out a loan of 50% of that value for $10,000. And if you took out a loan on BlockFi for $10,000 against $20,000 and then bought a half a Bitcoin, right? Do I think that you're in any type of jeopardy? I mean, that's not leveraged. I think you're safe, personally. I just did that again. And if you all remember, I did that at like 12,000 and I'm doing it again now. And do I think that it's risky? Well, of liquidation? I mean, no, I'm not looking for a 50% pullback here on Bitcoin at this point in the cycle. That I'm not looking for. Now, if you're doing that with leverage, you have to be very careful. I would not if you're unsure about what you're doing, do not do it, right? Again, lightly leveraged goes a long way in Bitcoin. Just be very careful about that. Am I suggesting to take out a loan to buy Bitcoin? No, I'm not suggesting anyone take out a loan to buy Bitcoin. Have I taken out loans to buy Bitcoin on BlockFi? Yes. But I'm not suggesting anyone do that by any means whatsoever. Not even close. Actually, I'm suggesting, unless you know what you're doing, not to do anything like that. That's what I'm suggesting. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, right? Rich, I can't believe you're riding this position. Rich, if you're riding it from over here, you're my hero, right? But listen, what's next? What are you targeting, right? Let's go ahead and let's see where we got some nice support down over here. Let's see where you should be really looking to target next on this. We're going to put out a couple of areas. This will be area number 1. And put 2 in. Wow. Here you go, Rich. The next area to focus in on down over here, you got some support down at $1.03 over here. So, and right now, are you into? I don't think you're into anything over here. Wow. Wow. I hope that helps. Oh yeah, good comments over here from both Zen and Charlie Brown. No question about that, right? All right, great trade, Rich. Very, 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 very impressive, right? Bear flag on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Let's check it out. I don't see a bear flag over here. So right now, what I see, this is like, if I'm looking at a chart, this is like where I'm looking at, right? And this is an uptrend to me. We're trading to the top of the right of this chart. This looks like, it doesn't look like a bull flag to me because we are consolidating like this horizontally, but it is a consolidation pattern. It is a nice base. And I am looking for the resumption off of this, right? Maybe even during this particular New York session over here, for sure. I'm looking at that, but I don't see a bear flag there. That looks very nice. Listen, go to the Bitcoin playlist on this channel. Look for the video. It says Ethereum price predictions and altcoins price prediction. The best entry that you could ever get on Litecoin, I believe, is right over there. It is impossible. That's not impossible. I wouldn't say that. Is Litecoin like Bitcoin where the math could work on it? I'm not so sure. Thank you for that very much. It's a pleasure to be share. Well, this is a great piece of advice, Or I wouldn't say invest as much as you're uncomfortable losing. I mean, you should not go into an invest. I mean, yes, I agree with you, Benjamin, for sure. I'll always understand that you could lose any investment you make. But at the same time, because how you form thoughts are very important, don't make an investment with the intention of losing money ever. And that sounds so silly, Jordan. Are there people who make investments with the intentions of losing it? Yeah, a lot and often, right? For example, there are people selling Link this morning. I imagine that they really understand intuitively that they're probably going to lose all of their money by doing that. There are people who take risks and gamble. Every investment you make should be made with the intention of it being successful. Now, at the same time, if you are going to be a successful trader, you do have to understand that, you could even lose 50% of the trades you make and be profitable. But always make sure when you're putting your money to use, when you're investing your capital, you're doing it with, you're very mindful of what you're doing with the intention of overall to make money, right? Investing is all about risk management. So what else are we looking at today? Look, so far the price action we've seen on Bitcoin this morning is impressive. It's just showing that any dips are being bought up. And there's not much we could say about that. Yeah, Swiss franc, Japanese yen. Let's move over to it. Let's see what's going on. Looks like it's taken out that area of resistance. This is something that near term is very, very overbought. You could go over here. You can see, right? First of all, the trend CCI is above 200. That is indicating that it's very overbought. And then the entry CCI is with it. So it's also quite sideways. Copper is booming this morning. Copper is booming this morning, right? And copper right now, So, by the way, this was conquering the markets all day long over here. Right now, you're too late to the party. The trade is already way overbought into profit. There's many good exchanges. It depends on where you live in the world, what exchange you're going to use. I don't think that it's a problem, anyone finding a good exchange to use in Bitcoin. Each exchange has their positives and negatives. I find BlockFi the best way to purchase Bitcoin, easiest way to purchase Bitcoin, or it's a good place, in my opinion, knowing you have third-party risk to store Bitcoin. Now, listen, if you're looking to trade Bitcoin, BlockFi is not for trading Bitcoin. I don't think anything, right? I don't think Powell testifying today is an event. In fact, Powell is going to say, listen, we need the government to go into more debt and spend more money. Please give us stimulus. Please give us stimulus. Please give us stimulus. There's nothing else that he's going to say. In New York, Coinbase, Gemini, right? What else? Let's take a look around. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, right? We've New Zealand dollar has definitely been over the last couple of weeks very strong over here. If you're looking at the dollar's on the verge of breaking down over here. It's got a very bearish tint to it, and the New Zealand dollar looking to take out this resistance. Is that something that you want to buy into right now? No, right? Wait and set the trade up. You have to be patient here. You have to wait. Look at the over here. You could see the entry CCI for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going on 7 sessions has been overbought. You're waiting for the pullback, and then you're waiting for the resumption out if it holds. Yes, Dave, there will be. I'll send that email today. We're going to do it on Thursday. No, I can't. I'm waiting for a phone call. I will send out later today the details on when this week's trading session will be. But absolutely, last week we had Thanksgiving. This week we have a trading session. Details will be sent out to the email and sent in the Telegram group. I mean, Rico, this is really like, look, everyone has to, look, people say that it's very dangerous to store your Bitcoins on exchanges, right? Why is that? Because there's third-party risk. What does that mean? That means if you hold money on Coinbase and Coinbase gets hacked, there's a risk you could lose your Bitcoin, right? Or there's a risk your own account could get compromised and someone could get access to your Bitcoin. Those things are all very real. Now, if Coinbase got hacked, would they cover the hack? Most likely. If you had bad operational security and your account at Coinbase got compromised and the Bitcoin was taken, would Coinbase cover that? No, that was your fault, right? So, there's dangers to everything. Do I think that it's a risk to hold money on Coinbase because if they get hacked, that I'm going to lose my money? No, I don't think that's a risk. Do I think it's a bigger risk holding money in Chase Manhattan Bank? I don't know if it's a bigger risk, but I would weigh them pretty close to each other, right? I know the FDIC is not going to be there if something bad were to happen to bail out the banking system, because that's impossible. The Federal Reserve could try, right? But they can't. The FDIC can't backstop the dollar. So, should you hold money offline in a hardware wallet? Yeah. Should you have whatever amount of Bitcoin you own? Should that be spread out so that you're migrating your risk? Yeah. It's all things that you need to think about, right? But it would be a serious flaw for me to tell you how I'm doing what I'm doing, right? So there's no way I'm going to do that. So, but you need to think about those things. They're very important. There's a risk with everything. There's absolutely a risk with everything. Now, if for my little brother, right? My little brother, he's tech savvy. He doesn't understand Bitcoin though, right? I would tell him that he should hold his Bitcoin on BlockFi. And I would feel comfortable about that, right? He could just whitelist no address. So no one, if someone compromised his account, couldn't make any type of withdrawal for a week for him to get his account back. I think it's pretty safe. Yeah, there's third party risk, but for my brother and where he's at, I think it's a good option. All right, let's see what else is going on. South Africa, big shout out over here. Yeah, so and when the laws are passed for the bail-ins, I don't think they're going to go bail-ins though, right? It looks like they're going the way of UBI, digital wallets, and let's see. All right, what else are we looking at? No, you cannot buy leveraged Bitcoin on BlockFi. You cannot. Pound New Zealand dollar. Let's check her out. Pound New Zealand dollar. So we're seeing that New Zealand dollar strong versus everything. We're seeing another area of support being broken out. This sets up definitely a green light over here, right? And as we break down from the support over here, right, while we could fall further, I'm going to be waiting for a retest. It's a very clear. What is it? This is very clear. It's kind of sideways though, is it not? You know, from my vantage point, I'm definitely in a downtrend, and now I'm taking that support. This would lead up for me to look for a short trade over here, right? Not much to add over there. Thank you, Free Andy. Thanks for that. Thanks for spending the time here together this morning, right? Look at this equity market's pumping. Is it because Fed Chairman Powell is testifying today? And just, we'll see. Any comments on XRP? It's performed strongly since Bitcoin shot up. All altcoins should perform strongly now as alt season is underway. And this last pullback less than expected on Bitcoin could have been the ideal pullback for altcoins, right? As far as cycle lows. Yeah. XRP, take your pick. It's like kind of throwing darts, right? All altcoins should outperform Bitcoin over here. A basket is best. Let's check out the euro. I mean, that's the decision everyone's got to ask themselves. Arthur, talk about that in 1 second. Let's see over here on the euro US dollar, right? You could see very clearly, you could see that she's peaking above here. So what I am looking at, what Jordan is looking at, if this holds above here, right? Closes above here at the end of today, because on the daily, I want to see that close above that resistance. And then I'll be waiting in the upcoming sessions to see if we get a retest and a resumption. And that would really open up the euro US dollar for me over here. Finally getting rid of, we've been in this sideways section since the end of July, first week of August. That's a long time, right? Bitcoin away for a pullback. Look, this is the question that everyone has to be asking themselves. In my own opinion on this, right now, for me not to be fully positioned into Bitcoin, and the only missing piece for me on that again was that grayscale GBTC position that needs to be tightened up. But everywhere else, I'm fully positioned and more into Bitcoin now. And for me, the risk is on the upside, right? Look, I tried to play this perfectly. I tried to get this over here. I saw the pullback coming. The pullback came. It only came, you call it 15%. I was looking for another 15%. I only got the slightest bit of entry over here. And my bigger orders were scaled down further. So I didn't, if that would have happened, that would have been like money, so happy. It didn't happen. Not only that, I had an enormous short position right over here, right? That, again, that wasn't closed at all. And had it been closed right over here at 15%, would have been fantastic. It was covering my whole full long position. I was completely neutral over here. And if I would have been able to exit my short position and load up on the rest of my long, I would have just slayed Bitcoin, like better than possible. I didn't. It didn't work out like that. Instead, it was just a neutral, right? Because I didn't get anything off my short, and then I only got a small, tiny pickup over here, and then wound up buying back in at 1920, a $300 loss over there. So for me, I tried to get cute. I tried to get as cute as possible. It could have been a slam dunk home run. It wasn't. But what happened was I realized I just want to be long Bitcoin, fully positioned, because I don't want to miss out the upside. And that's where I'm at. Now, if that's not you and you're not sure yet, that probably means that you do need to do a little bit more research to understand the trade. Why? Right? And listen, when you're ready, that's when there's time for you to lean into it more. But if you're unsure, then you shouldn't make a decision. What does fully positioned and more mean? I mean, I was already fully positioned as I calculated, as I wanted to be positioned. And by the way, back down at 9,500, 9,000, I was fully positioned, half of my net worth into Bitcoin. But over here, I even added more. So what else are we looking at? I didn't see the other part of the question when you were talking about tax write-off. But by the way, when I do borrow money off of BlockFi against Bitcoin, that's not a taxable event. It's not as if I'm selling Bitcoin. So it is, in my opinion, a very smart way. In my opinion, I've done the math. I've done the research. I understand my risks. Me borrowing against my BlockFi holdings or to buy more Bitcoin, well, that's a smart decision at that point in the cycle and not a taxable event. You have to know what you're doing. I think the 4-hour time frame for me is way too small. The 8-hour is kind of like the 8-hour is the precision swing trading time frame, and it's a short time frame, right? It's a short time frame. I think going any lower never makes any sense. That's what I think. Thank you, Jeffrey. That's what we're here for. I strive every day to do a good job. It's very important for me. It's served me well over 20 years, but it's very important for me, those that, that everyone comes together. So just by sharing knowledge is what we do. What else do we want to look at over here? Or do we want to call it a session? Yeah, so I think a workaround for that, JC, is if you use Oanda app, Oanda, the FX broker, and you use the Oanda app, I think that you could use their 8-hour charts. Now, you can't use the true trend with that. Not a big deal. But you could use 8-hour charts for free on the Oanda app if you're looking for a workaround. But I think it's essential, in my opinion. It's essential. And if you want to use it on TradingView, there's like an upgrade of $7, $8 a month. I think it's absolutely essential as well. So, King Dom. So what BlockFi's business is to actually, it's actually to challenge traditional financial institutions using Bitcoin, right? So why would you want to use a traditional institution? Let's say that, you wanted to go to a bank and borrow money. You could go through that traditional, process. Banks aren't really lending money right now, by the way. A stimulus package is announced. Edwin, a 900 billion, that's a substantial package. It's bigger than the original float by the Senate, right? I'm looking just at market reaction. So what's funny about that is like gold and silver, I mean, trading up on the day as if they knew something. Man, what do you all make of that? That's crazy. So, listen, you could go try to get a loan at a bank. It's a lot of hoops, right? To go through. And they're not really lending money right now. Or you could just, in a matter of 5 minutes, go ahead and borrow whatever money versus your own Bitcoin, and then the next day have the access to those funds. It's a lot easier of a process. It's a lot seamless. I prefer it all day long. There you go, Wes. So Nasdaq heading up. It's beautiful. They're pumping, right? Oh, look at that. You're right. Look at that. Nasdaq getting ready here for the new all-time high. It's taken out the last swing high over here earlier in November and is now just ready here for new all-time highs. As that stimulus has entered the picture, I would like to read the details on that, where that money's coming from, where it's at. But also, I shared with you briefly yesterday, the Treasury next year is on pace to spend as much money, right, as the Fed is spending in QE each year. So we're looking at a massive amount of stimulus in 2021 that's already on the docket. And you have to ask yourself right now, with it's like the perfect storm here for Bitcoin and why Bitcoin was created. And Bitcoin right so far is on time doing its thing. Thank you, Kenneth. Great to be here with you all. No, yeah. It's not complicated at all. Taxes are not complicated, right? Listen, there's plenty of software to help you with it, or just consult a professional. Don't play games. Very simple, right? But I'm here to help with the charts. I'm here to help with keeping myself on the right side of the market, doing my best to help keep you all on the right side of the market. And I'm here to share my art, my TA, my technical analysis with you, my view, my insight, my experience, my hard-earned, hard-fought-for experience. You don't make it 20 years without fighting, right? And all of that I've been through, and I have to say, going back, to the dark tunnel, I would not wish that on my worst enemy. But coming back out through on the other side, it's a pleasure to be able to share that experience with you all and do whatever I can to help, lift everyone up. So that's all. All right. Let's put on some music over here. Let's go out with some Kips today. Kips, I didn't hear whether or not you would be interested grabbing that mic one day. Do let me know. Let me pull up some Kips guitar right now, though. Autumn. Thanks, Andy. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you in the afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow.